Some chainsaws slice through a solid log in under 1 second. Others cut straight through concrete and steel rebar like it's soft pine. One is small enough to run with a single hand, dangling high up in a tree. Another is a 1970s American monster that's still bigger than the most powerful chainsaw you can buy brand new today. From fuel-injected speed demons to cordless giants that rival gas, these machines push the limits of what a chainsaw can even be. These are 10 chainsaws you won't believe existed. Number 1. The Stihl Contra. Let's start with the saw that quietly created the modern chainsaw as you know it, and almost nobody's ever heard of it. For decades, chainsaws had a fundamental problem. They were heavy, awkward machines, usually built with a gear reduction between the engine and the chain, and many still needed 2 people to run. Then in 1959, Stihl released a model called the Contra, and it changed the game overnight. Its breakthrough was deceptively simple. It was gearless. Instead of running power through heavy gears, the Contra used a direct drive design, sending power straight from a high-revving engine to the chain. That let it be dramatically lighter and more powerful for its size. And it was built to be handled by a single operator. Suddenly one person could carry, start and control a genuinely powerful saw and drop trees on their own. This was the saw that helped kill off the 2-man logging crew for good, and the productivity leap was enormous. The Contra was such a runaway success that in some markets the name basically became shorthand for the machine itself. People started calling their chainsaws Contras regardless of brand, the way people say Xerox for a photocopier. That's how dominant it was. To really appreciate how radical the Contra was, you have to remember where chainsaws had come from. Just a few decades earlier, the first powered saws were 130 and 140-pound machines that took 2 grown men to drag through a single log. The whole history of the chainsaw up to 1959 had been a slow, grinding fight to make these things lighter and more manageable. The Contra didn't just nudge that forward, it leapt. By ditching the gearbox entirely and letting the engine drive the chain directly, Stihl slashed weight and complexity in one stroke. It's easy to overlook a saw like this because it isn't a giant, or a freak, or a record breaker. But the Contra represents the exact moment the chainsaw became the tool we recognize today, a lightweight, high-power, one-person machine. Everything before it was heavy, clumsy, and slow. Everything after it, every saw on this list, built on the direct drive formula the Contra proved. If you've ever picked up a modern saw with one hand and marveled at how much power is packed into so little weight, you have this humble 1959 legend to thank. Number 2. The Stihl 090. Now we go to the one that loggers and gearheads still talk about in hushed, reverent tones. The Stihl 090. The largest chainsaw Stihl ever put into production, and one of the most legendary displacement kings of all time. Introduced in 1968, the 090 was powered by a colossal 137cc single-cylinder engine, producing somewhere around 8.5 horsepower. That 137cc figure still makes it bigger than anything Stihl sells today. Even the modern flagship tops out around 121cc. The 090 is, and remains, the displacement record holder for the entire brand. The powerhead alone, just the engine and body, no bar or chain, weighed over 12 kilograms, around 26 to 27 pounds. Bolt on a long bar and fill it with fuel, and you're wrestling a serious amount of machine. This was never a saw for trimming hedges. It was built for felling enormous trees, milling lumber, and heavy industrial logging. Here's the interesting part about how it cuts. Loggers who've used the 090 have a saying, "It'll cut anything, just not fast." The 090 was built in an era when engine RPMs were lower and raw torque was king. It doesn't scream and race like a modern high-speed saw. Instead, it delivers a slow, relentless, tractor-like pull, an unstoppable thump that can drag a 5-foot bar straight through the hardest timber without ever bogging down. That low-end lugging power is exactly why it became a favorite for stationary milling, where you don't need speed, you need brute force that never quits. It ran a heavy .404-inch pitch chain, the big aggressive kind meant for hauling a huge cutter through wood wider than a doorway. Production ran from 1968 into the mid-1980s. Today the 090 is a genuine collector's item, with working examples regularly selling for around $1,000, and enthusiasts hunting down rare original parts from Germany, some so scarce a single chain cover might be the last one left on a dealer's shelf. Modern emissions rules mean nobody will ever build an engine quite like it again. Number 3. The Husqvarna 3120XP Stihl 090 is the vintage torque king. So here's the modern answer to the question, how big can a real buyable saw get? The Husqvarna 3120XP is a machine so large it's designed to swing bars up to 6 feet long. The 3120XP is Husqvarna's largest and most powerful production chainsaw, and the company openly calls it one of the most powerful saws in the world. Under the hood is a 118.8cc engine putting out around 8.4 horsepower and spinning up to 9,000 RPM. The powerhead weighs roughly 10.4 kilograms, about 23 pounds, before you even add a bar and chain. But the numbers aren't what make this saw jaw-dropping, it's what it's built to do. The 3120XP is engineered to pull a chain around bars up to 72 inches long. That's a cutting bar 6 feet in length, as tall as a grown man. Most people run it with a 36 to 42-inch bar for felling, but the fact that it can drive a 6-foot bar tells you exactly what league this saw plays in. Its main jobs are extreme logging, stump work, and portable sawmilling, turning gigantic logs into lumber right where they fall. When you're milling a slab out of a trunk that's 4 or 5 feet across, you need a saw that can keep the entire length of that bar buried in wood and still keep pulling. That's the 3120XP's whole reason for existing. Despite the sheer size, Husqvarna built it with modern conveniences the old giants never had. A smart start system to make a big engine easier to pull over, and low-vibe anti-vibration mounts to keep the operator's hands from going numb during long cuts. It's proof that raw power and modern ergonomics don't have to be mutually exclusive. The 3120XP is the saw you reach for when the tree in front of you is simply too big for anything else. It's a modern giant hiding in plain sight in Husqvarna's catalog. A machine most homeowners will never see, built to eat the trees other saws can only dream about. Number 4. The Stihl MS 881 Magnum. If the 090 is the vintage displacement king and the 3120XP is Husqvarna's giant, then this is the reigning modern champion, the most powerful production chainsaw money can currently buy. Brand new, off the shelf, meet the Stihl MS 881 Magnum. Stihl flatly calls it the largest and most powerful chainsaw in its entire lineup, and it's widely recognized as the most powerful production chainsaw on the market today. At its heart is a 121.6cc engine producing around 8.6 horsepower, and it's rated to run a guide bar up to 41 inches long straight from the factory. This is a saw built for one thing: the biggest, toughest, most demanding cutting jobs on earth. Professional loggers, sawmills, and heavy forestry crews reach for the 881 when they're dropping and bucking massive old-growth timber, or milling slabs out of trunks that dwarf a person. The powerhead alone weighs around 22 pounds, and once it's fueled and fitted with a long bar, the whole rig can push past 35 pounds. This is not a beginner's tool. It takes real strength and experience just to control it safely, and it isn't cheap. The MS 881 Magnum typically sells for well over $2,000, putting it in a completely different price bracket from the saws most people have in their garage. Underneath the muscle, it's still a thoroughly modern machine, with an emissions-conscious engine, a compensating carburetor that self-adjusts as the air filter clogs, and a quick-stop chain brake that can stop the chain in a fraction of a second in a kickback. Here's the fun contrast. The vintage 090 still beats the 881 on raw displacement, 137cc versus 121.6cc, which is exactly why collectors revere the old monster. But the 881 does it all with modern efficiency, cleaner emissions, and better handling. It's the saw that proves that even in an age of batteries and emissions rules, there's still a place for a genuine $2,000 121cc beast that can chew through anything you point it at. Number 5. The Stihl MS201TCM. Every saw so far has been about size and power. This next one flips the entire idea on its head, because it's a chainsaw specifically designed to be used with one hand while you're dangling from a rope high up in a tree. Meet the Stihl MS201TCM, one of the most respected top-handle arborist saws in the world. And that T in the name is the whole story. On a normal chainsaw, the main handle wraps around the back. On a top-handle saw, the grip sits right on top, directly over the engine, so the entire saw can be controlled and operated with a single hand. Why? Because the other hand is busy keeping you alive, gripping a climbing rope or a branch 50 or 60 feet off the ground. This is a professional climbing arborist's tool, built for in-tree work, pruning limbs, taking a tree down piece by piece, and cutting in tight, awkward positions where a full-size saw would be impossible to swing. To make that possible, it's tiny and light. The engine is just 35.2 cc. It makes around 2.4 horsepower, and the whole powerhead weighs only about 8.2 pounds. It even has a built-in retractable ring so it can be clipped to a harness and hauled up into the canopy. Don't let the small size fool you into thinking it's a toy, though. A one-handed chainsaw is frankly one of the more dangerous configurations in the whole tool world, which is exactly why manufacturers stamp these as for in-tree professional use only. In the hands of an untrained person, a top-handle saw is a recipe for disaster. In the hands of a trained climber, it's an irreplaceable precision instrument. It even packs surprisingly modern brains for such a compact machine, with Stihl's M-Tronic system automatically adjusting the engine for altitude, temperature, and fuel quality so it runs perfectly whether you're at sea level or up a mountain. It's the saw that proves you won't believe it exists. Doesn't always mean enormous. Sometimes it means a full-power chainsaw small enough and clever enough to run one-handed in the treetops. Number 6. The Stihl MSA 300CO. For 100 years, serious chainsaw meant one thing: a screaming, fume-belching gas engine. This next saw exists to prove that era is ending. It's a fully cordless, battery-powered chainsaw built to go toe-to-toe with the gas machines. The Stihl MSA 300CO, first shown in 2021, is Stihl's most powerful battery chainsaw, and it's aimed squarely at professionals, arborists, forestry crews, and landscapers who cut all day. And the headline claim is the surprising part. Stihl says its performance is comparable to the MS201, one of their popular gas-powered all-rounder saws. In other words, this is a battery saw that can genuinely do a pro's day of felling and cross-cutting. Under the cover is a brushless electric motor that, paired with the high-output AP500S battery, delivers a full 3 kilowatts of power. Because it's electric, it does things a gas saw simply can't. There's no pull cord, no choke, no warm-up, and no fumes. You pull the trigger and it cuts instantly, with almost zero ramp-up time. It has selectable power modes and an LED display that shows cutting mode, chain brake status, and low oil and overheating warnings, like a little dashboard. You can even run 3 different chain speeds depending on the job. It's a real working saw too. It drives bars up to 20 inches, weighs around 13 pounds as a bare tool and about 17 with the recommended battery, and delivers up to roughly 44 minutes of runtime on a charge. For a company running a whole fleet of saws, going electric can also mean serious savings on fuel and maintenance over time. It's also weatherproofed for real job site abuse, with a rugged magnesium motor housing and a splash-resistant sealed electronic system. And it was even certified by the American Green Zone Alliance as a genuine professional-grade tool. This isn't a toy dressed up in pro branding. It's engineered to be run hard, in the rain, all day. The reason this one belongs on a "you won't believe it exists" list is simple. For generations, the idea of a cordless saw doing professional forestry work was laughable. Battery tools were for hobbyists and weekend warriors trimming a hedge. The MSA 300 is part of a wave that shattered that assumption. A quiet, fumeless, instant torque chainsaw powerful enough that a pro can leave the gas can at home. Think about what that means on a work site. No engine noise ringing in your ears for 8 hours. No exhaust in your face. No yanking a stubborn cord on a cold morning. Just pull the trigger and cut. It's a genuine glimpse of where the entire industry is heading. Number 7. The Stihl MS500i. For nearly a century, every gasoline chainsaw on Earth had one thing in common: a carburetor. Then in 2019, Stihl released a saw that finally broke that mold, the MS500i, the world's first chainsaw with electronically controlled fuel injection. If you know cars, you already know this story. Engines used carburetors for decades until fuel injection took over, delivering better performance, easier starting, and more precise fuel delivery. But nobody had successfully done it on a handheld chainsaw until the MS500i. There's no carburetor to tune and no choke. Sensors constantly measure things like air pressure, temperature, and engine conditions, and the system self-adjusts the fuel mix on the fly. You just prime it and pull. And the result is genuinely absurd. The MS500i accelerates from 0 to 62 miles per hour of chain speed in about a quarter of a second. A quarter of a second. That kind of instant violent throttle response was simply not possible with a traditional carbureted saw. The engineering also produced a rare milestone. With a roughly 79cc engine making around 6.7 to 7 horsepower and a power head weighing under 14 pounds, the MS500i became known as one of the first chainsaws to have more horsepower than its dry weight in kilograms. In the professional forestry world, that power-to-weight ratio is the holy grail, the strength of a 90cc class saw in the body of a much lighter machine. Loggers who've used it describe it as a genuine game-changer. There's a lovely historical footnote too. The idea of a fuel-injected chainsaw wasn't new inside Stihl. Decades earlier, Andreas Stihl's own son had tinkered with putting injection on an old engine, though it never reached production. It took until the early 2000s and a research project at the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology before the technology was finally ready. The MS500i is where that decades-old dream finally came true, and it made every carbureted saw before it suddenly feel like ancient history. Number 8. The Stihl GS 461 Rock Boss. Everything so far has cut wood. This next one cuts stone. Meet the Stihl GS 461 Rock Boss, a chainsaw designed to slice straight through solid concrete. Yes, concrete. And not just concrete. This saw chews through reinforced concrete with rebar up to half an inch thick, cinder blocks, masonry bricks, asphalt and soft stone. It plunges up to 15.7 inches deep into material that would instantly destroy a normal chainsaw chain. So how does a chainsaw cut rock? The secret is the chain. Instead of the sharp steel cutting teeth you'd find on a wood saw, the Rock Boss runs a special diamond abrasive chain. The links are studded with industrial diamond segments that grind through masonry rather than slice it. Diamond is one of the hardest materials on Earth, which is exactly why it can wear its way through reinforced concrete. The saw is powered by a 76.5cc gasoline engine making around 5.8 horsepower and revving up to about 13,500 RPM. But cutting stone generates enormous heat and dust, so the Rock Boss has a trick a wood saw doesn't: a built-in water control system. It feeds water right to the cut, cooling the diamond chain and suppressing the choking cloud of concrete dust that grinding masonry would otherwise throw everywhere. Why does a tool like this even exist? Because construction and rescue crews constantly need to make precise, deep cuts in concrete, openings for pipes and utilities, square corners, slicing through concrete pipe in a trench, or breaching a wall. A big circular concrete saw can only cut so deep and can't make a clean plunge or a square corner. A chainsaw-style cutter can plunge straight in and follow a precise line, reaching depths a spinning disc simply can't. It looks almost exactly like a regular chainsaw at a glance, which is what makes it so surprising. But hand someone a Rock Boss and point them at a concrete wall, and it'll cut through it like the wall was made of wood. It's a chainsaw that laughs at material that stops sledgehammers cold. Number 9. The Hot Saw. Now for the most insane machine on this entire list. A chainsaw so violently powerful it can cut through a log 10 times faster than a normal saw. And it isn't even built by a chainsaw company. It's built by hand, in garages by obsessives. Welcome to the world of the Hot Saw, the grand finale event of lumberjack competitions like Stihl Timber Sports. The goal is brutally simple: cut 3 complete discs called cookies off a log as fast as humanly possible. And to do it, competitors build some of the most ridiculous chainsaws ever created. A hot saw isn't a modified logging saw. It's a custom Frankenstein monster, usually built around a single-cylinder engine yanked out of a snowmobile, a dirt bike, or a personal watercraft, then cut down and bolted to a bar. A normal professional chainsaw makes maybe 6 to 8 horsepower. A hot saw makes between 60 and 100. Let that sink in. That's up to 10 times the power of a big commercial saw, crammed into something one person has to physically hold onto and control. The numbers are staggering. These saws weigh around 55 to 75 pounds, run on pure methanol or alcohol fuel, and spin their chains at roughly 150 miles per hour. Some builds go even faster. And the payoff? A hot saw can slice clean through a 20-inch pine log in under 1 second. 1 second. Competitors have described their machines as having more power per pound than an Indy car. They are also genuinely terrifying to be near. The saws hurl wood chips as far as 20 feet, so spectators sit behind shields. Operators wear face and hearing protection, heavy chaps, and sometimes chainmail under their clothing for protection. Many builds include an emergency kill switch in case the machine gets away from them. One competitor bluntly explained that his saw could only cut straight down. Turn it sideways, he said, and it's so powerful it would cut your legs off. There's real engineering obsession baked into every one of these things. Builders will source a high-performance engine. A 250cc motocross power plant is a favorite, then perform extensive internal modifications so it can survive the insane RPMs the event demands. Some run chains and chisel profiles that haven't been manufactured in decades, filed and tuned by hand between rounds. The entire philosophy is the opposite of a normal saw, where a forestry saw is designed to survive 10-hour shifts for years. A hot saw is built for a single 15-second explosion of violence, and it's completely acceptable if it's teetering on the edge of blowing itself apart the whole time. Each one is a hand-built $5,000 science experiment that walks the razor's edge between world-beating performance and total mechanical failure. There is no more extreme chainsaw on earth than a hot saw at full song. Number 10. The McCulloch Super Pro 125. And to close this out, let's end with a legend. A saw so far ahead of its time that a machine built more than 50 years ago is still bigger than the most powerful chainsaw money can buy today. Meet the McCulloch Super Pro 125, an American muscle saw from the golden age of chainsaws. Collectors don't even call it a chainsaw, they call it a muscle saw, and once you know the numbers, you'll understand why. It was built by McCulloch Motors Corporation in the United States, and it packs a monstrous 123cc engine, 7.5 cubic inches of raw American two-stroke power. Now hold that number in your head, because here's the payoff. Remember the Stihl MS 881 Magnum from earlier, the most powerful production chainsaw you can buy brand new today? That saw displaces 121.6cc. This McCulloch, built back in 1971, displaces 123cc. That's right, a half-century-old saw still outmuscles the modern flagship on sheer engine size. They really don't make them like they used to. The Super Pro 125 was part of McCulloch's famous 123cc family, a lineup that included the 797, the Super 797, and the CP 125, and it earned a cult following for its brute torque and broad, relentless power band, thanks to a reed valve engine design that just kept pulling. It weighed around 23 pounds as a powerhead and could swing bars from 18 inches all the way out to 36, making it a favorite for felling big timber and cutting serious firewood. Here's the wild part. McCulloch barely made them. The Super Pro 125 was only produced for a short window, roughly from 1971 into 1972, which is exactly why it's become such a holy grail for collectors. Today, a clean running example can sell for well over $1,500, and enthusiasts lovingly restore and run them, marveling that a saw this old can still bury a 36-inch bar in hardwood and keep going. The McCulloch Super Pro 125 is proof that you won't believe it existed isn't always about the newest technology or the biggest gimmick. Sometimes it's about a raw, overbuilt American beast from 1971 that modern engineering, for all its fuel injection and batteries, still hasn't managed to outsize. That's a fitting place to end, with the legend that refuses to be beaten. If you made it this far, hit that like button. Subscribe for more deep dives into the machines you'd never expect, and I'll see you in the next one.